Welcome to Every Ever Monster Movie. I'm Max.
I'm Daniel.
I'm Tolkien.
And tonight we watched the 2017 live-action American adaptation of Death Note.
American adaptation.
It
takes place in Seattle.
Not our hometown.
Which is where we're close to.
We are very close to it.
We went there, actually, on a trip.
Like
to
a
see
platonic
Drunken Peasants.
relationship.
It was fun.
Skylar, give us the back of the box. Thanks, Skylar. Tolkien, I hear you're a big fan of Death Note.
Personally, I have only seen the anime Death Note. 4 episodes, maybe 5. Actually, we've been watching it a lot lately. I've listened in the background while I did the dishes to quite a lot of the English dub. But I got to watch the Japanese dub, and I gotta say, the Japanese is better than the
That's
Well,
hysterical. Daniel, what about you?
I had not seen Death Note previously to watching this movie. I thought the movie was
Yeah, I've never seen that.
pretty good. It defied my
Since 2 days
expectations. And I watched 8 episodes, slept through 12. And I can say I really enjoyed it. Both
So
versions.
right off the bat, we're comparing this 2017 adaptation to the 2007 anime adaptation. Because the anime adaptation is, all in all, pretty similar to the original source material and construct.
In
with
manga form.
Yeah. With some...
Okay, I'm just going to step in
No.
there and say I wanted
No, we
to
can't
listen.
start record... God damn it.
What?
It's not even the original version. We're hacks. We're all hacks.
Because there's a manga.
We don't
version.
know anything about Death Note. We haven't
don't.
seen any
We don't.
of it.
Fuck your shit. Fuck your nerd shit, guys.
You know
I'm
what was
sorry.
crazy? When we were just watching the movie and not comparing it to Death Note,
We had a
it
pretty
wasn't
good time.
that bad.
As the
Shut up,
raging-
Daniel.
As the
It
raging
wasn't
fan.
that bad.
Just
Tolkien.
the movie alone. The movie alone without Death Note is pretty good, actually. Because it defies your expectations. It has Willem Dafoe.
As Ryuk.
It does better than any other live-action adaptation of an anime could. It does better.
That
It does better than
probably is
Dragon
it.
Ball Evolution. It does better than any other one I've ever seen.
I feel it's
That's the only one I could really compare
I feel
it
it's
to.
on par with Speed Racer. If you saw
Racer,
it.
that's good. Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
an acceptable story, just built off the corpse of a more interesting story.
The corpse.
A story about, psychology, a god complex,
Starting to sound like
Psych-
Ghostbusters too.
They captured that
What?
well. They captured the god complex
They did.
well. But his character isn't as likable.
I feel he's more conflicted that he before had a huge god complex, wanted to ruin and rule the world, and in this movie he was more conflicted. It was his girlfriend that had more traits with the original character.
I
And
would
that-
disagree.
Did
I
his-
think it
that
was
one.
actually. I think it was
Did his girlfriend?
the weaker decision on the film's part to rather than going for an interesting main character with a bizarre yet intriguing, psychological framework and incredible intelligence to go with it. For what they could have actually shown in an hour and 30 minutes, which they don't really do in the film. They go for the character who has a girlfriend who makes all the bad decisions. He is tempted into it almost the entire way. Ryuk, the monster man, is constantly telling him, "You gotta use the Death Note, idiot."
Yep.
His girlfriend is constantly saying, "You gotta use the Death Note."
And what is Ryuk? He is a Shinigami, or a god of death. And in the anime, he has more of a connection, more of a relationship with Light, who is our main character.
He's way sillier.
He's a little bit sillier.
He's a big, silly monster man that floats around on Light's shoulder rather than
He's better.
an eerie force.
And that's-
he's more. He's a more significant entity, probably,
You learn a lot more.
in the anime.
You don't learn much from
Or,
him.
I mean, in the
And
live
He
that's-
action
doesn't tell you half as much in this movie.
And that's why you get Willem Dafoe.
But that's
for-
why
for
he's
this.
still delivered. I mean, we gotta say, he's the best thing in the whole movie.
He is.
He's a gigantic weird monster man voiced by Willem Dafoe. He's fantastic.
Willem.
And without Ryuk, the Death Note movie pretty much doesn't have any more of the Shinigami verse or anything that made it really distinctive, except one thing that I feel like they got down.
What?
L. L is a detective who is obsessed, barefoot,
Well, we should get
and
into
covers
the
his
plot.
face.
For all those people who've never heard of Death Note and yet are listening to a podcast about it on the internet.
One of my
Isn't
favorite
that
things
right?
to do, yeah.
Yeah.
Plot us. A little.
Teenage boy, get book.
Right.
Book, kill people, write in
Death
book.
Note.
Book Fallout Sky.
Necronomicon.
Demon appear. Demon name is Willem Dafoe.
Does not do
Demon
birthday
is
parties.
Big Dick.
Demon
And
ruin
or
classroom.
demon is spooky.
Like, this is the end.
Killing people gets you laid. Especially if you...
That's what you took away from this
Teenage
movie?
boy goes too far, I guess.
Goes too far.
Fights detective. Detective, very secret and autistic. Like, canonically.
The
Please don't
detective's
get on
not
about that.
autistic.
The detective is overly
L?
paranoid and correct.
He...
L is the detective.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
He knows
Oh, I
what
thought
he's
you meant
doing.
his detective father.
No.
Maybe he's not.
His dad is police officer.
Police chief.
His dad is the police chief.
Investigating the case that
In
he
Seattle.
is.
In Seattle.
And or Tokyo. We're just discovering... General plot.
Oh, well, no, well, I'm talking about...
Boy's
the
name is
movie.
Light.
And
In the Japanese, it's because that's kind of a name you can have. In the other one, it's because his mom was a hippie and then died.
and his hair is platinum blonde. Like, highlights. and shit.
Frosted tips.
Yes.
It's wrong.
Nothing is right.
Nothing should be brought back from that.
There's a scene where he's screaming in the classroom.
And this
And
way
it's-
he's receiving the Death Note, correct?
Yeah. Well, no, it's
It's
the first
after
time
he's
you
already
see Ryuk.
grabbed it.
It's
It's
the first
when Ryuk
time you
first
see him.
approaches him.
First time you see Willem.
After
Ryuk.
he's been put into detention
He's
for...
giving his best, and it's
Yeah.
like of what his acting level should be, and it's just not.
Well,
He's
let's
pretty
go.
bad in that scene.
Pretty bad.
Yeah. Well, let's go.
What
He
is,
could be
it's Tom
bad.
Beat for
Cruise in
beat.
The Mummy.
First, we get cheerleaders, and you don't know why. And then kid gets the fuck kicked out of him. That's light. Then he gets the Death Note. Then we're in the classroom, and
He
carnage.
gets detention because he sells his homework.
And then that's the first
That
time
means
it's the
he's
first time-
smart, you
Then
guys.
that's the first time he uses
Too
the Death
smart
Note.
to follow
Yeah,
the
he's-
rules, guys.
He's like, oh, this dickhead who beat up this other guy. I have a big boner about how he should be punished. Light writes in the book, this guy, by decapitation.
Die back to decapitate.
And then he gets decapitated
By a ladder.
Right.
via
Freak
Final
accident.
Destination cut.
And that's what I feel like this movie resembled the most. It seemed like a little bit of Death Note, but a lot of Final Destination on how the kills.
I
We're
haven't seen
completed.
Final Destination.
Well,
Please give us the plot synopsis of Final Destination
Girl,
followed by a
these are
20-minute summary
girl,
of the themes and such.
girl has psychic power of all her friends dying on a roller coaster, does not want to go on the roller coaster, death feels cheated, and kills them all anyway. Fuck you. Anyways,
Is there a Ryuk equivalent in those?
it's death. pretty much.
Isn't he like a mailman? What?
No, he is not. Anyways,
Are you sure, Danny?
I'm sure.
Is he a milkman?
Are you sure it's not the fucking milkman coming to be death?
Well, this is why it seemed like it was Final Destination. In Final Destination, they show you a bunch of arbitrary things, like they're setting up, like the Doc Brown breakfast cooking machine. The actual name escapes me. But they show, like, okay, Salt Shaker is going down the aisle.
I'm not
knocks,
even remotely
Knox and
interested in
Fritz,
any of this.
the waiter.
Daniel.
Well, that is how it resembles Final
I
Destination.
understand how because I've seen some of the clips on YouTube. Of Final
Great, but
Destination.
guess what? Maybe our listeners haven't. You gotta be considerate of them.
Trust us, the only way that you could possibly ever show a death scene in a movie is via Final Destination cut. If you want to make it important.
If you want to make it good.
What? You think
It
they
wouldn't
could
have
have
been
just
cool
had
to
a
do
scene
heart
where they
attacks?
didn't take a bunch of, like, swerves and camera tilts and they just had a guy
A
sort
heart
of like...
attack would have sucked. It would have been
A heart
Accidental
attack
get
would have fit their
decapitated.
budget.
No, you could
Think
have gotten
about it.
decapitated. It could have just been, like,
Jeez,
a solid, like, long shot. It would have been more... Like, if it was just, like, a long shot that didn't look like a movie effect, it would have been better.
It did look like a movie effect.
It is. And
Look, it's
They
like
made a
all
big
this-
deal about it.
It was a scene out of City
It
of
would have been
Lost
so
Children.
easy to avoid.
You
That-
know,
a movie
the
that we
scene in
keep
Little
coming
City
back
of
to.
Lost Children with the flea, you know, well, with all the microscopic things that are happening and
Hold
like
on, that
karma.
podcast might not be out yet.
oh no,
Well,
Stay tuned, guys.
um,
We're on iTunes.
true believers.
Watch City of Lost Children,
All right.
and then
In any case...
then watch Dark City.
Yeah.
But then you gotta watch Death Note.
Fucking.
The Death.
You can
Note.
compare the flea scene to anything, though. I mean, I think you're just trying to make a tangential connection. And shame the fuck on you.
Guess what? I'll compare it to Stuart Little.
How do you compare this movie to Stuart Little?
I compare it to Stuart Little because it has the same thing. It's like little things, you know.
You're higher than the subject that we are reviewing. I need you to know that.
You don't know what you're saying. Stuart Little has little details, you know, just like the flea scene in City of Lost Children, just like the karma stuff that happens.
Oh, what?
in
Are we still
the
doing
Death-
a podcast? Oh
in
my
the
god.
Death
Yeah.
Note.
Are
I
we?
just tranced out there for like a solid, what,
Our host was
2-3 hours?
incapacitated.
What was that?
What? Okay, all I can think of is Stuart Little. And damn it.
We were talking about Death Note.
We were talking about Death Note, but should we... Okay, the director of Death Note is Adam Weingart. Director of Blair Witch Project, VHS, and VH2. 2 movies I have not seen. They look alright.
Neither of us have seen them either.
What?
Why are you bringing them up?
Season one.
Because
See
you
what?
need
Any
to
of the
know the
movies that he
director of Clout that created this movie.
You're a director of Gout.
Fun fact, Shane Black was supposed to direct this when Warner Brothers was actually handling the production of this movie.
So Light Turner gets his girlfriend involved, like, immediately. No, he makes her his girlfriend by getting her involved.
By getting
She's totally into it.
too into it. This is
Turns
bad.
out
She's into that.
she's into it too far.
She then wants to go on a website where they show pedophiles and criminals, because that's what they're doing. They're killing war criminals, they're killing inmates all over the world,
Tourists.
and it's baffling police.
Baffling news media. So they call in the greatest detective in the world, trained by a secret order of monks in the Himalayas as the perfect detective.
That's where Montauk is?
I don't know where it is.
I feel that's
Point
in
is, he
Canada.
was raised in a monastery by monks to be the perfect detective.
Okay.
I feel this is really glossed over in the actual movie.
Yes.
It's like the best thing in the actual movie.
Mm.
This is not in the anime, this is in the live action film version.
True. And
So this black guy is the greatest detective ever. He goes by a letter.
And the actor, Lakeith Stanfield, of course, does an amazing job trying to catch Kira. And how Light came up with the name is that he was trying to find the word kill, but in a different language.
No.
Or killer.
Kira means light
Yeah, Kira means
in
light.
German and another thing, but it also sounds like killer in Japanese, which is the original excuse in the manga and anime adaptations.
Oh.
Yeah.
And the
that's-
live-action Japanese version.
Okay, for something we
And the
just watched
live-action
once.
stage play Japanese versions.
Oh, Christ.
Oh!
It was a real swell movie, I think. It was a real shitty movie, I think.
I don't like the end.
Thanks, Two-Face.
In the end, they decide, you know what, let's just be like, big action scene, fuck it. And the coolest character in any of the adaptations becomes kind of a sniveling crybaby. Light never has an opportunity to do anything intelligent or cool or conniving or scheme-like he does.
I mean,
He kinda
to
does
give
at
it
the
credit,
end.
he does. He does.
Kind of, but then it all... The big twist is that
The big
when
twist
everything
is
falls
stupid.
down, it just is like, oh, he wrote it all in the book that it would turn out the correct way. The end.
It's like at the end of Sherlock
But it's
Holmes'
still
Game
on-
of Shadows.
It's still like you don't know
where he
what
had the
happened.
oxygen
Because
tank.
what did you think happened at the very end?
The very end,
The plot twist, basically.
the plot twist was...
What do you mean, what do you think happened? It's pretty clear. He wrote it all in the book.
And
All the things that would happen.
and he was fine.
Somehow him
and he didn't
writing
die.
in the book gives him the ability to influence where the page with his name goes, to then save his life by burning the page with his name on it. So you're not just influencing people, you're also influencing like random chance through like a bunch of things. I'm so confused.
It was
Turns out his girlfriend is a sociopath. But
Or
not
sociopathic,
even very
I think.
intelligent about it. She just wants the book real
I
bad.
think he
And
kinda
Light is
did.
like, I don't want the book. But I don't want to give you the book because you're kind of crazy bitch.
Well, no, she was crazier before. I mean, she had control over the FBI agents, killed them all for the quest to unmask L. Because they both lost their shit over that. They're like, they're going to put a monkey wrench in our scheme of killing rapists that we see online. And so, L, he always has his face covered. So, one of the rules of Death Note is
It
you
turns
have
out
to
if you
write
just
your
write
name.
anything in the Death Note and somebody dies at the end of it, it'll all happen. If it's not like physically impossible. Remember that it's not physically impossible.
and you have
It's not physically impossible for the random piece of paper to be
to float into
randomly floated into the thing with the... I don't like that.
Well, and you have to picture
They just
the
give it
person's
whatever
face.
powers. And it's just like, oh yeah. Well, of
Of the
course he got out
person.
of that situation correctly because he just dictated
That-
it all correct. He didn't need to deal with, like, additional scenarios. It wasn't clever.
not that much, but I
A
think
classic staple of Death Note
is how clever.
is how clever it is.
it
another
really
state-
isn't.
Another staple of Death Note is the interesting psychopath that is the character.
Interesting
Sociopath.
now.
The crazy person in the main seat of the whole story. He's wild.
He's crazy.
I want to say
off
one
to figure
one more
out
thing.
where
I am
He's the
sick
god of
to
the new world.
listen, Hollywood. I'm sick to fucking death of the dead parrot. No, it doesn't trigger me. It's just boring to have that.
Is that
as
because
your
you have a dead parrot, Daniel?
I have a parent that's
It's
dead to me.
beat.
Deadbeat and dead to me.
Is that because
point is-
you have
Just make him an emo kid
Is
with
that because you are a
problems.
dead
When I watch the
parent
anime, I'm like, what? His fucking mom's alive. Then
Some
what?
people
He
have
should
dead
be happy.
parents. Let Peter Parker be the.
Who gives a fuck? That's who they were trying to kind of make this character as. It really pisses me off. But I think we should explain the rules of Death Note for people that haven't seen Death Note. Death Note, you have to. It's a notebook. You write the person's name.
Anything
that you
else
want
you write after the name will just happen, unless it's physically impossible.
But you have to picture the person's face when you're writing it.
And you have to have their actual name, which is why Super Detective Letterman is completely invulnerable to the Death Note's power.
Because he has his face covered. In the anime,
Midway
he
through the
kills
show,
a
Light...
stand-in.
midway through the movie, midway through the movie, Light decides to take control of his bodyguard man, Watari, who is not going by a pseudonym,
Which is weird, huh?
which is kind of weird. In
Was
the anime, he's
stupid.
going by a pseudonym.
He's going by a pseudonym, and
But
he
basically,
tries
he's
to
not
hide
going
his
by a
face.
pseudonym, meaning that Light can take over his thing.
There's pictures of him. What the hell? Seriously. In the anime,
And he wants him to get his
doesn't
name,
reveal his
rather
face
than,
to the public.
you know, just killing him.
This guy is
Which he
just
probably
like
could.
this guy just has a hat on. He thinks the shadow will hide his eyes. Bullshit. Bullshit, I say.
Watari.
L is adequately weird.
He is. He
He's
likes
also
anime.
black,
He eats
although I
lots
don't
of
see that
candy.
matters.
It-
Daniel,
it-
thanks for bringing it up.
It, you know what? The casting was, I feel, spot on. L in the anime is albino. In the anime, it's played by an African American. Lakeith Stanfield, who's really great in Straight Outta Compton, Atlanta,
That's pretty random, though,
Some-
man.
some crazy
To take
other
the
stuff.
albino kid. I don't know.
Well, I don't know. I feel like
Why didn't
he
they
got
get-
the voice down. He got the voice down. He got the mannerisms down. And
No,
I
yeah,
think that's how he embodied
That's
the
fine,
character.
But anybody could have embodied that character.
I
You
don't
could've-
know. I mean,
you could've put
he brought
Brother
his
Ali in that fucking.
what the.
And he would have.
No,
like,
no, we
yes.
can't because he would be like,
Yeah.
and I'm rapping it like this, and I'm doing it. No, because that's how Brother Ali's cadence is. But going back to Lakeith,
I've never
the way
heard of a
he muttered.
person altering their cadence.
oh,
That's such a bizarre
he just had
concept.
a great muttery voice.
Stop.
He had long
Okay,
sentences
I
that
agree
trailed
with you.
off longer
I
than this
agree with you
sentence.
that he played the
He
part
cried
of
a
El
lot,
Amazing,
and
but
I would say
anybody,
he cried
Danny,
pretty
you
well, but
could
he
have
did
played
cry a
El
lot.
Amazing.
But
That's such an easy.
I'm just a
role.
fan of the actor. Bring back Atlanta. Actually, it has a season 2
Okay.
coming in 2018.
Who even cares?
FX.
What even
Think
is that?
deeper.
Does anyone know?
What?
The thing that you're talking about.
I know it.
In other
Somebody
news,
should know it.
Death Note. Monster rating?
Monster rating. Monster is very underutilized.
I give it
Ryuk,
an under the bed.
it's more shadows.
I give it 4 out of Spooks monster rating.
What the? 3
He's
out
a
of 5.
great monster, but he's not in it a lot.
What is
but
that out of?
That's
for
a
what
3
he's
out of
in,
5.
it's out of 5, I think.
Yeah, 3 out
The
of 5.
monster rating, I give him a 3.5.
Give him a
out of
3
5.
out of 5.
I give him a 4. He's a great monster. He's real spooky. He's shot
But
exactly the correct way to shoot him.
That's
Red
weird.
eyes.
I'll give it a 4.
I mean, it's
no.
okay.
Yeah, dude, they
it's
shoot it
kind of
perfect.
lazy.
Think
to
for
where it's like-
yourself.
Dude, they shoot it perfect.
Light can see him perfectly, but to us, he's just out of focus, which is like to an extent lazy.
They did bring something back
Yeah.
from the
But
anime, though. He loves
I will
apples.
at least say,
No, they
well,
do.
yeah, that's like a.
They
whatever.
do it pretty okay, great. I mean, I thought he ate all the whole apples, and as he rolls them on the floor, which is creepy out.
He
It-
barely eats any of the apples.
That
Does
makes
not.
I eat way more apple
I eat
off
more
of
of the
the
apples.
stem than he does.
Off the
Off
floor.
the core.
Off the floor.
Not off the floor.
Oh yeah.
I don't roll mine
I
on the
eat
floor
apples.
when I'm done with them. Do you know how sticky the floors around there must be?
Really sticky.
Probably sticky. That would have been gross when the SWAT team pulled the search warrant and
But I mean,
they were investigating.
Does
Good
that-
monster.
does everybody see the saliva stain?
I really can't answer that.
He doesn't kill anybody. I mean, his power is that he kills people, so he's probably like passively killing people. Or maybe the power of the Death Note is him killing people, but
Okay,
I haven't seen that.
I do have to say something. They did The Happening better than The Happening. When the FBI agents, they're under
Walk off the
mind
building.
control, they walk off the building to their death. First scene of The Happening, awful movie, better context in Death Note.
Speaking of the direction of this film, I have nothing to say on the direction of this film.
Fantastic, fantastic. It was shot like a over-stylized Netflix movie to bring sort of anime, even though it wasn't a
trying
colorful anime.
desperately to look okay.
To look okay, but where the camera could get a little lazy, even just with their static shots, they had amazing lighting. They were doing red gels. Some lighting was red. They were doing the Dutch angles. They were trying to get it to look like an anime.
The
Or
red
even the
gels
manga.
match all the red blood.
I mean, they were doing it without
Example,
blood on scenes.
The literal piles of bodies that this film ends up getting.
In the strip
Maybe
club?
the real monster all along of this monster movie
is light.
It's like,
is man.
Is a man.
man, dun, dun, dun.
You're evil. If you had a death note, would you kill Prisman? No, what would you do with it?
Would you be Batman with it? No, because Batman doesn't kill. Trick question.
If I had a death note, I'd write in it. I'm trying to figure out a way to fit in gun in one bullet in my name, but yeah, pretty much that. I'd make a gun shoot itself.
You know who I put in the
Me.
Death Note? You know who I put in a Death Note? Kanye West, because then finally he can touch the sky.
I don't even know what that means.
Good.
I
for
don't
you.
think I would do anything
Deep
with the
cuts.
death note. I'd probably hide it and laugh at anyone whoever thought that they could get by it on me.
I would put myself in the Death Note
Tolkien,
so
do
they
you
could play Daniel by Elton John.
Do I recognize?
Thanks, Daniel. Tolkien, do you recommend Death Note 2017?
I recommend Death Note 2017 for anyone who hasn't watched the anime and wants to care about
And we'll
anime.
bitch. I gotta say one more thing. We gotta
I
get.
also do not recommend the film.
I recommend.
I
the
recommend
film.
it.
I recommend the film.
It's good enough.
I do not recommend the film. There are better films.
Go,
Well, duh. There's better films.
Go watch Death Note. So
Go
that
watch
you can-
Ozark. No, I'm not a Netflix whore.
Go watch.
Watch
Death
Friends
Note
from
on
college.
Netflix. The anime one. It's on Netflix.
The
alright.
anime is alright. It's dreary.
You don't
at
like
times.
anime? Watch the.
It's
other
dreary
live-action
at
one.
times. Like seriously, it drags. It drags. And
It's pretty long, or maybe it's not, but it feels long.
okay.
Just like City of Lost Children.
Before we close this out, I have one thing to say. If you want a sequel to this movie, watch the original. There might be a sequel, and then we can have another episode. So watch the sequel, then we can do the episode.
If you want a sequel to this, we could just do an episode on the other live-action Death Note movies, the Japanese ones.
There's live-action Death Note movies?
We've been talking about this all episode.
No, you haven't, because you cut that out.
Okay, so there's live-action Japanese Death Note movies.
There is.
Hooray.
And we're out to watch them all.
There's also a
Great.
series of spin-off L movies that, by all accounts, are terrible.
Probably. Sounds like milking the cow.
If
And
this
you
works
know
out, we may
everything
very
about
well
milk
come
on
back
that.
to that after we've seen all of Death Note.
Yeah.
Until then, we will continue to spout our opinions on things we
will.
do not know or understand.
Of course.
Like true, genuine internet hacks.
Oh, yeah. And to get a little political, to be into the internet hacker what's the deal with the whitewashing? Now, I don't care. I don't care about this, but of course it's going to come up in an anime adaptation such as this one. Happened with Ghost in the Shell. Happened with Dragon Ball Evolution.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're out of time.
No.
Ladies
I
and
just
gentlemen,
need to
we're
tell
out of
you.
time. We've had plenty of time. It's been a beautiful podcast today, or this evening.
I have a Japanese friend. It's me. It's me. Myself.
It's okay.
We
Daniel
get along
is-
We will see
adequately.
you all on the next episode.
Yeah. We'll be back next time. Maybe with Danny.
No.
Maybe with the body of Danny. Who knows? We'll see you around.
Anybody knows.